Joining me now is Neama Rahmani, a former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Neama, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Roger.
This new charge, new lawsuit, what are we looking at in this one?
Well, yet another victim who's come forward and alleged physical and sexual abuse by Sean Diddy Combs. And this is bad news, not just because it's going to cost him money, but it makes it even more likely that he's going to face criminal charges. I think there's going to be too much pressure on prosecutors, too many victims. And that video that was released on Friday showing that severe physical abuse, that domestic violence, prosecutors are going to have to act. I think it's a matter of when he gets indicted, not if.
And why is that? Is this political pressure on them now?
Well, every prosecutor in the country is either elected or appointed by someone who is. And there's a lot of pressure on folks to bring these types of rich and powerful men in Hollywood to justice. There's a perception that they're able to escape justice because of their financial resources and ability to hire the best and the most expensive lawyers. But when you have victim after victim who's coming forward and really raising much of the same allegations, it's going to be too much for prosecutors to ignore going forward. And let's not forget, federal prosecutors had enough evidence to get search warrants for two of Diddy's homes in Miami and in Los Angeles, where I am. And if you can convince a federal judge that those homes have evidence of a crime, it's not too far removed to convince that same judge that there's enough evidence to get an arrest warrant for Diddy.
And with the accusation in this most recent one, how does it look? Is it a strong case?
Well, it's similar to some of the other accusations involving sexual assault. I mean, obviously, Cassie Ventura's case was by far the strongest. She had the longest lasting relationship with Diddy, 11 years, and she was the first, and it really inspired a Me Too movement after she filed her lawsuit there in November, even though it was settled the following day. I mean, she alleged some terrible, really sexual abuse, including being raped and sexual abuse of minors. So I think hers is by far the strongest case, even though it was settled already.
And Diddy's apology video that he released a few days ago, will this help or hurt him?
Well, I think it's too little too late. Let's not forget when Cassie first filed, Diddy's lawyers came out and said these were baseless and outrageous lies. And Diddy did post that apology on Instagram on Sunday, but really it was all about himself and how he's taking treatment and therapy. But again, when you're apologizing 6 months later, when it was clear to the entire world that you were physically abusing your ex-girlfriend, that wasn't particularly moving, in my opinion.
So what's next? What are we looking at?
Next is the waiting game for Diddy. So obviously there's civil cases that are pending, but really those criminal charges, I fully expect that shoe to drop. I wouldn't be surprised if he's charged in a RICO indictment similar to R. Kelly, because we're talking about really a pattern of sexual abuse. And